Hi, this is Neil Walters again. In this video, I want to show you how to use the Google Calendar. I was in a marketing conference in South Beach, Florida about a week or two ago, and one of the speakers was asking how many people there use Google Calendar. And this speaker was a person who made quite a bit of money, and a lot of people in the room didn't know how to use it. And I realized, well, I know how to use that. And so the speaker was going to make a video for some of the students, and I thought, well, why don't I make a video? And this happens a lot in life. We have skills that we know, and we think other people know or have these same skills, but they don't. And so we can share with them by making videos for the internet and getting this information out there. So let me now show you several tips about Google Calendars that can make your life more productive. So here's 3 objectives basically of this quick little video to show you why to use Google Calendars. Number 1, you can of course remind yourself of appointments, and it will sync with your smartphone whether you have an iPhone or an Android. Number 2, you can realize where you're investing or wasting your past time. You can look back to past weeks, past months, and see what you've been doing. And number 3 is planning your future time and scheduling time for your priorities and goals. So let's go over to my calendar as an example. Now right now I'm going to be in week view, and I just want to point out we can go to Wednesday, for instance, and now we're in day view. I can go back a day, and I can see one day at a time. Or I could go to month view, see a whole month at a glance, and then I can see 4 days at a time, kind of side by side. And then you have an agenda mode where you can see what are your appointments for today, so you could print out and take to a meeting with you and make sure you don't miss anything. But again, with your phone these days, that tends to take the place of that. So here's the week at a glance, and let's start by just adding a new appointment before we talk about ones that are already here. For instance, I have a course called the Costa Rica Intensive, which is about online marketing, and I need to spend more time studying that. So for instance, if I have time on Thursday evenings, what I can do is schedule it at say 7 o'clock and put here, actually I've seen the course once, but I'm going to say review Costa Rica Intensive videos. Okay, and there it is. Now if I want to spend an hour, say 2 hours on that, I just drag that little line down there. And by the way, this red line shows what time it is right now, so you can see I'm actually making this video on Thursday evening. Now if I find a better time to do it, maybe I want to move it up to 4:30 in the day, or I want to move it till 10 o'clock at night, you just move it like that. It's pretty easy to do. Now let's say I want to make this a priority in my life. What I can do is, say for instance there were 20 videos in that course, that's just a rough guess. I can come in here and say, okay, if each video is 2 hours and there are 20 videos, I need 20 weeks to cover this. So here there's a repeat button. So you just hit repeat, and again every Thursday night you come down here and you can say repeat, or it ends after 20 occurrences. So you're going to meet 20 times and then it's over. So you're going to click done, and here's, by the way, where you can put it what calendar you want it on, and that's going to be for an advanced video. Amerisoft is my company name, so I'm going to put this on my company business calendar and hit save. And so somehow I ended up with 2. That's kind of unusual. Now if I go to the next week, yeah, there's only 1 there. So just for fun, I just want to put here the word test and say all events I want to update, and now I want to go back. So the one that says test is the one that's the correct one. So somehow let's just delete this one. I hit the edit button. It's taking a while. Okay, that seemed to be just a weird glitch that Google had. That other appointment really wasn't there. I think I just needed to refresh my screen. That was the only problem. So now let's look ahead at the different weeks. If I look at every week now, you can see I do schedule certain things ahead of time. So now every Thursday night at whatever time I specify here, this reminds me I need to study the Costa Rica Intensive videos. Now just another couple of examples how I use this. I have a website called Expert Training and Coaching, so I call it ETAC for short. And I'm actually paying a man in the Philippines to write articles for me. He puts maybe 5 or 10 articles on that site a week. And right now I'm only having time in an hour to maybe edit and proofread and clean up maybe 3 of them. So I schedule that for at least once a week, and I probably need to schedule more time for that. Let me give another example here. I invoice the company I work for. I'm a BizTalk Microsoft consultant, And so I need to invoice my company every other Monday. So you can open this and let me just show you. If I look at the repeating schedule, it says repeat every 2 weeks on Monday. So it reminds me every 2 weeks on Monday night, I need to send in an invoice using my QuickBooks and make sure that I'm going to get paid by that company. And another quick example here is, okay, here's an example at the end of March, this little box. If you can have two at the same time, it makes it a little harder to read. It basically says pay rent for Canal Side Lofts, that's my corporate apartment, and I need to do that on the last day of the month or the first day of every month. So that would be a monthly recurring item on my schedule. Now let's go back to the current week. Personally, what I do is I work really hard on Sunday night through Thursday. I make videos, I study marketing, I do Facebook, YouTube marketing, things like that, internet marketing. And then I have fun on the weekends. So I have Friday night off, Saturday night off, and then Sunday I get back to it. Now you see the ones that are in red color. This is my study time. I'm a student at Web Yeshiva, which is a place where we learn more about the Torah, Jewish learning, and I have certain classes that are scheduled there. And then I also have a tutor on Wednesday night at 10 p.m. my time, 6 a.m. in Israel. I meet with a rabbi and I study Torah with him. Now this week was a little unusual. I have these big blocks of these videos here because last week I made a lot of videos. So let's go back to last week. I was actually in South Beach and Miami Beach, Florida for a conference called the Prosperity Conference. And during that event, I made videos of several of the people there. And so this week I'm editing those videos and getting them out on the internet. So examples here are some things I do is, like here I had Southwest Airlines fly from Houston or to Houston back to Dallas. And then I drove to work. I had to go to the office for a few minutes when I got back to clarify some things. And then we actually had a work deployment at 11 p.m. that night. And during that event, we actually went to the Sky Lounge one night, and then we had a yacht cruise around Miami Bay. And again, that's where I got a lot of my videos. So this week I was busy videoing those videos. And I created a series called The Why That Makes You Cry. You might want to go over there and check out those videos. What I'm doing is I'm interviewing different people I met, and I'm asking them what is their super dream or their purpose in life. What's so important to them that it really makes them cry, their utmost purpose. So now let's go back to our objectives here. We didn't really talk about syncing, but let me mention one little thing there. When you have an appointment, like last week here, I had to meet a maid at my apartment at 12:30. You can actually set a time on here to remind you pop-ups or an email 10 minutes before the meeting. And I think the pop-up is what signals your phone as well to pop up. But personally, what I do is I want to keep the meeting time as 12:30, and then I need whatever, an hour or 30 minutes to drive home. So I should have just been about this time. Actually, that was to remind me at work at 11:30 that I need to leave at a certain time to come home and meet the maid that was coming here. So that's how I handle appointments like that. So back to objectives. Number 2, realize where you're investing or wasting your past time. So, I mean, I can go back and see what I did. Now, again, I don't always record everything. Like if I do something fun, or sometimes I just get busy and I don't record the calendar. But I can go back to past weeks and months and see what kind of things I've been doing. So you can see this week I had a little more packed than normal because I was making all these extra videos. So you need to stop every once in a while and reflect and look back in your life and seeing if the things you're doing in what some people call your spare time is actually making a difference in your life. And then part 3 was making time for your future priorities and goals and scheduling them. So we did that at the very beginning. I said I need to watch these videos here. And maybe, for instance, on Tuesday at 6:30, I need to do Facebook fan page marketing. Or maybe I need to monitor the ads that I'm running or something like that. So you can make these appointments then that continue week after week. Now sometimes I don't actually have time to do the things I've scheduled. So for instance here, last night I didn't actually work on this site. So what you can do is you can actually just drag it to the next night. And if you keep pushing it forward enough times, then you either A, do it, or B, you realize maybe it's really not your priority and maybe that's not your dream or goal, and maybe you need to stop that and reevaluate your goals. So this is the things that you can do on Google that will make your life more productive. This has been Neil Walters, And just to summarize here, you can please post your questions in the chat below. I've only covered maybe a small percentage of what Google Calendar can do. If you have specific questions, I'd be glad to make other videos to answer them for you. Just post below and in the chat. And then second of all, I have a website called iwanttolearnmore.com, and there's a dash between each word. And you can go there and you can subscribe, and I can send you all the new videos and the trainings that I do, the Why That Makes You Cry series. And I can also send you business information about how to market on the internet and how you could potentially make more money in your evenings. So this has been Neil Walters, and we'll see you on the inside.